Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to dive into a really fascinating and powerful philosophical argument from the great spiritual thinker Swami Vivekananda. He takes on one of the biggest questions out there. Is the soul immortal? But his approach, well, it's based on logic and a feeling he says we all have, and it might not be what you expect. So let's jump right in and unpack this. Okay, so to really get a handle on Vivekananda's argument, we actually have to start where he does, with a really powerful story from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It really sets the stage for this huge philosophical puzzle he's trying to crack. So what's so amazing about this quote is the deep paradox it points to. In the story, the hero, Yudhishthira, is asked, what's the world's greatest wonder? And his answer? It's not some giant pyramid or a natural marvel. It's a deep psychological truth. We see death everywhere. It's constant. It's unavoidable. And yet almost every single one of us has this core belief that somehow it won't happen to me. This is the central mystery Vivekananda wants to get to the bottom of. So this is the big question, right? Where does that powerful feeling even come from? I mean, it seems to go against all logic, against everything we see with our own eyes. Is it just our brain protecting us? Some kind of denial? Or, and this is what Vivekananda gets at, is it maybe an echo of a much deeper truth about who we really are? This is the puzzle he sets out to solve. Now, to unpack this puzzle, Vivekananda doesn't just hand us a simple answer. Nope. Instead, he presents us with what he sees as a fundamental choice, a core dilemma about the very nature of reality itself. He basically frames the whole problem like this. He says, we're faced with two totally different, competing ways of looking at the world, and at some point, we have to decide which one is the real deal. So look at this. On one hand, you've got the world of constant change. This is the universe where everything is temporary. Everything is bound by cause and effect. Our bodies, our minds, our thoughts, they're all just effects of things that came before them. But then, there's this other column, this persistent inner feeling of permanence, this idea that something within us is constant and, most importantly, free. And for Vivekananda, this is the kicker. He says any complete theory of reality has to account for this second column. We can't just ignore it because it's messy and doesn't fit into a simple mechanical view of the universe. All right, so let's see how this all builds up to his really unique solution. Because he doesn't find the answer in some lab or with external proof. He finds it by looking at this universal human experience that he believes is the key to everything. And here it is, the absolute cornerstone of his entire argument. For a second, he asks us to forget about faith or dogma. He wants us to focus on one single powerful idea, freedom. That deep-seated feeling you have that, at your core, you are a free agent. Vivekananda is basically betting the house that this feeling isn't an illusion. He thinks it's a signpost, pointing directly to our true nature. So his argument follows this really clean four-step logical path. Let's just walk through it together. First, we all have this inherent idea of being free. We just do. Second, okay, now think about it. What does it mean to be truly free? Well, if something is genuinely free, it can't be bound by cause and effect. It can't be the product of something else. Third, now look at your body and your mind. Are they unchanging? No way. The body ages, thoughts come and go, emotions are all over the place. They are constantly being changed. So, step 4, and here's the powerful conclusion. If we feel free, but our body and mind are clearly not free, then that sense of freedom must be coming from something else, a part of us that is separate from the changing body and mind. And that, Vivekananda argues, is our true self. It's unchanging, and because it's unchanging, it is truly free. And therefore, it must be immortal. And there's a name for this thing he's talking about. It's the Atman. In the Hindu philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, which really shaped his thinking, the Atman is this true, deathless, and free self. It's that divine spark inside all of us that is the source of our feeling of freedom. It's the real us behind the curtain of the changing body and mind. This single sentence just perfectly nails his logic. Anything that changes is, by definition, an effect of some cause. It isn't free. It's temporary. So only that which is beyond all change can be truly free. And that which is free from the chains of cause and effect is, by its very nature, immortal. Okay, so that's the philosophical argument. It's elegant, it's powerful, but you know us, we have to push back a little bit and ask some critical questions. How does an argument like this really hold up against a more skeptical, scientific viewpoint? And this brings us right to the central challenge here. The entire foundation of Vivekananda's argument rests on a subjective inner feeling, our sense of freedom. But is a feeling, no matter how universal it might seem, something that can ever be proven or disproven using the objective methods of modern science? This table kind of lays out the two different worlds we're talking about. On one hand, you have Vivekananda's argument. It's philosophical, it's metaphysical, its evidence is something you find inside yourself. On the other hand, the scientific view would counter that this isn't empirical data. A feeling is a metaphysical claim, not a piece of evidence you can put under a microscope. And, critics might also argue that framing all of this through the lens of concepts like the Atman might not be universally applicable to all cultures. So maybe the best way to look at this essay is not as some attempt at scientific proof. Its real value might be something else entirely. It acts as a bridge, a really powerful contribution to that ongoing conversation between spirituality and science. It challenges a purely materialistic worldview to account for the full spectrum of what it means to be human, including our most profound inner experiences. So, what are the big takeaways from all this? First, Vivekananda gives us a unique path to thinking about immortality that's based on the logic of freedom, not just faith. Second, he throws down a gauntlet, challenging any worldview to explain all of human experience, not just the parts that are easy to measure. Third, it's vital to see this as a philosophical argument, playing by its own rules. And finally, his essay is still a key touchstone in the huge debate between science and spirituality. And in the end, we're left with a final, provocative thought to chew on. Vivekananda's reasoning pushes us to consider a really profound question. What if the most essential truth about who we are, our sense of self, our feeling of freedom, our very consciousness, what if that is something that by its very nature lies outside the grasp of scientific measurement? That's a question that keeps both philosophers and scientists searching for answers. Thanks for joining The Explainer.